guys, welcome to the Live at Love podcast. Today I'm here with one of my really good friends named Emma Sullivan.
Hey y'all.
And today Emma just gets to have the opportunity to talk about just her journey in a lot of trips she went on and just how like God has worked and impacted her throughout this year really and throughout her life. But Emma and me met senior year of high school actually. She was a year younger than me, but I'll let her talk about that later, how she graduated early, but we actually met in a choir class together, and we bonded over both moving from the north and living in Greenville, South Carolina, and it honestly was so cool, and now we've just been really close ever since, and I feel like we're very similar, and it's just been so fun just getting to grow in friendship with Emma. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, so like Olivia said, I moved here about 2 years ago from Pennsylvania. I was born here, but I had moved around a lot, and then we moved back. I met Olivia in high school. And after that, I graduated a year early, so I did my senior year over the summer. And right now I'm in a gap year program called One Life Institute. And in One Life, we travel around and we learn more about the gospel and how to be good disciples and followers of God. And so we get 30 college credits for it. But yeah, it's a good time.
Wow, that's amazing. And when she told me about just everything that she's learning about this year, just my mind is blown. Like every time she talks to me, I'm like, Emma is so cool. Like every time I just hear her story, she just keeps getting cooler. And I just want Emma to talk about a lot about her trips and what you've kind of learned through those.
Yeah. So our first trip, we went to Colorado. And it was a week long. We went camping.
Wow.
And I'm not a big camper. I hate camping. So we went camping, and on the fourth day, I think, they took away all our supplies, like all our tents, all our food. We didn't have food, all our like sleeping bags, everything. They took everything away, and we had to go through a series of challenges to like win our stuff back. And my team only won sleeping bags back. So that night, we were sleeping without a tent, without anything, in Colorado in September. And it was freezing, and I had, like, a group of 5 people. And so, like, not having any, like, amenities, anything to, like, use, like, for comfort, that really made me, like, put my trust in God that night. Because I was honestly really scared. Like, it was scary. We were out in the wilderness. Yeah. No tent, no anything, no food.
Oh my gosh.
We had food that whole day. And so it was honestly just really scary and honestly really humbling, because I feel like I had been trying to control, like, every part of my life. And, like, I always have food, I always have water, I always have a bed. And I take those things for granted. And I feel like that trip in particular was really good to just show me, like, hey, you don't need these things, Emma. Like, God is here to provide for you.
Wow.
And honestly, that night I started to have, like, a little bit of anxiety, and I was just, like, praying to God, and I was like, God, please help me through this. Like, I need you right now. And it was really humbling, honestly, just to feel, like, God's presence on me, and, like, he's like, yeah, Emma, I'm gonna help you. I'm here for you. Like, but yeah, so I think that's what I got out of that trip. But then, like, after the trips, it's like you learn all that stuff, and then you come back, and it's kind of like you forget it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of, like, intentionality after each trip to really think about, like, okay, how am I going to take what I learned from this trip, and how am I going to apply it to my life, like, afterwards? So, like, I don't know, journaling about that helps for me. Just, like, asking myself questions, like, what can I do in my daily life to help me remember what I learned in Colorado and stuff like that. But yeah, Colorado was a really good trip. We went to Israel this past week.
Yeah, I just can't wait to hear all about this. I saw everything you post on Instagram, and I was just awing over everything that you got to see, you got to touch.
Yeah.
So keep talking about it.
Oh my gosh. No, Olivia, it was literally crazy. I don't even know, like, where to begin. But it's just, like, we hear all these Bible stories, like, as kids. And, like, we grew up hearing about, like, the Garden of Gethsemane, like, Zacchaeus and all that kind of stuff. But, like, actually being there in Israel and seeing, like, oh, this is real. Like, this actually happened. It's just like, it's crazy. It's honestly crazy. And I remember we're at the Mount of Olives, I think.
Yep.
And I was just like looking out over Jerusalem, and I was just like, this is literally what Jesus saw, like without all the buildings and stuff. But I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And like the whole time I was just in awe and like shock, honestly, because it just really puts into perspective like what Jesus like went through, and then like it's just crazy.
So the whole time you were there, how long were you there, and like what did you guys end up doing the whole time?
Yeah, so we were there for 8 days.
Wow.
I believe. And so for most of the time we just like went around to different holy sites, like where they think Jesus was buried, or where they think his tomb was.
Yeah.
And
he's alive now.
Yeah, he's
rose
alive.
out of that grave.
He's alive. But and then we floated in the Dead Sea. We did like all the I guess Israel stuff.
Yeah.
Went on the Sea of Galilee,
which is so cool that you got to do that.
I know.
Did you ride in a boat?
Yeah, we did.
Because I went to this like women's worship night, and this girl was talking about how when she went to the Sea of Galilee, like, you know how like it's a sea where there's a lot of storms that come through quickly. Well, when she was on the boat, like one of the storms was coming, and I was like wondering, I was like, Emma, did that ever happen to you?
Yeah.
Like, did the storm ever come?
Yeah, no, there wasn't a storm, but it was like seeing the Sea of Galilee. It's so big. Like, I don't know why, but I always thought of it as being like smaller.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But I don't know, it's crazy. And just like imagining that story of like Jesus walking on the water in a storm, it was just like crazy.
That's
like absolutely
so
crazy.
Cool.
But yeah, the other half of the trip, we actually met with some Palestinians, and they talked to us about like the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Okay.
And like their point of view from it, because the Palestinians that we met with were Christians.
Wow.
And just like how they're affected by the conflict and all that. Because mostly we hear like the Israeli side, like in America. But we heard a lot about the Palestinian side, and that was really eye-opening to see like a different perspective and not follow the narrative of like what we've been hearing like
That's
in the US.
amazing.
It was really cool.
Oh my god. Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So
it was
like,
a crazy trip.
out of all the places you went to in Israel, what was probably your most like impactful place that impacted you?
Probably either, like I said, the Mount of Olives, like looking out over Jerusalem and like imagining Jesus there. That was just crazy. But also we went to this church, I think it was the Church of Nativity.
Oh wow.
In Bethlehem. And there's like a little door. And what?
I was just gonna say the fact that you just went to Bethlehem.
Yeah.
Like, that is just so crazy.
Yeah. And yeah, so there's like this little door, and it's called the Eye of the Needle, because you know that passage, like the camel fitting through the eye of the needle and stuff. And like I've always thought that was an actual needle. Like in the Bible it was talking about that, like a camel like trying to fit through a needle. I don't know, I always picture that. But it's not. It's actually like this little door that like a camel could fit through, but it would be like super hard.
Wow.
So like just like taking that passage and being like, yeah, it would be hard, but it's not impossible. And so that kind of changed my perspective on that.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I feel like that just like we can bring that back to like day-to-day life. Like even though it may be hard, it's not impossible.
Yeah.
Like anything with God is
Yeah.
impossible. Wow. And then I guess just like throughout this year, living on your own now, like transitioning from graduating a year early to living in a dorm and then traveling around, like what has been kind of some of your strengths that you've like found while doing this, and some of your struggles, I guess?
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like a common theme throughout the past couple months and like living on my own in college has been like relinquishing control and giving that over to God, and like trusting God to have my back, to
100%,
be my shield.
Yeah.
And then that like that image of God being your shield, I think that's really cool, because like God is protecting me, like he's always there, he's my shield. But also like if you think about it, shields go before you, and that's like kind of humbling, because like God comes first. Like none of this is me, like nothing I'm doing is from me, it's ultimately from God.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just a really cool thing that I've been learning the past couple months.
Wow. I feel like I can totally relate to that. Totally different perspective, but I guess with like being on like a worship team, or like liking to sing and wanting to use that like talent for the Lord, it's like something that has taught me like it's not out of a heart posture of all for me, you know. It is 100% for the glory of the Lord. And it's so cool seeing how like something like a gift, like he gave you that gift to use for his glory. And so it's awesome like to see like something just like that to like give to all to him. And that is like hard, and especially with just like everyday life, like I'm sure a lot of people can contest to that like giving it all to him and like letting him be in control is like it's hard, you know. But I feel like once you do that, you feel so much better. And I'm still working on that 100%. But that's so cool that you got to say that. But keep talking.
It's like even like in my day-to-day life, I get so like scared of things. Like even coming on this podcast, I was like, oh my gosh, freaking out. But before I came, I was just like sitting in my car and I was praying, and I was like, God, this isn't about me. Like this is about you. Like you can speak through me. You can use this however you want.
And that's all I want it to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Podcasts talking about Jesus and having him speak through us. So.
And I love that. I love that you did that. It's so cool. Started this podcast like from nothing. I love it.
Thank you.
But yeah, so just relinquishing control and also like setting aside specific time to be with God and like to see how God was when he was on earth, Jesus was when he was on earth, and to follow that. Because Jesus tells us to follow him, but like I can think about that all I want. Like think about his commands, like to love my neighbor and stuff like that. But until I like actually act that out and do things about it, it's not doing much. So like actually looking at Jesus' life when he was on earth and seeing that and trying to model my life after that. And it's like really hard. Like I have to be intentional about setting aside that time.
100%.
But I've been going to the botanical gardens.
Love it there.
It's so pretty.
And Emma, her school, how do you say it again? Your school?
One Life?
Yeah,
One
but
Life.
like, where is it based off of?
Oh, it's at Southern Westland University.
So she's like 5 minutes from me.
Yeah.
But the fun fact about that is every time I've seen her, it's either been in Greenville or been like randomly somewhere else.
Yeah, we're so bad at getting together.
We are. But hey, now we're here.
Yeah.
And next time you go to the botanical gardens, please text me.
Yes, I was gonna last time. I literally went yesterday.
That's cool. I think what you were saying, this verse was actually in the daily verse of like, you know, the Bible app. Well, I have like the daily verses pop up on my phone every morning, and it's in Titus 2:11-12, and it kind of goes off of that. But it says, "For the grace of God has appeared that offers salvation to all people. It teaches us to say no to ungodliness and worldly passions, and to live self-controlled, upright, and godly lives in this present age." And I know it's like very different from like what you kind of were talking about, but it also like ties into like giving him the control and like living this way other than living the worldly life. And I feel like in a worldly life, we're definitely self-obsessed, honestly, and so focused on what we can control in like a certain matter in a certain situation. And even for people that are very type A, like even that are Christians, it is so hard to let go and to just give everything like in control to the Lord. And like even spontaneous people, there are things that you can't let go. But I think that just a cool verse to remind you, like even like the worldliness is something that is just like not like being in control of your life. Like that's a worldliness like desire, like, and that's not what God wants for you. Like he wants to protect you and have you just like let him be in control. Yeah. So what are like some of the struggles though that have been hard?
Well, definitely like this is basic, but like living with other people, it's crazy. That also goes into like my control thing. But like I just want like my space and my room and stuff.
I understand.
And it's hard like having a roommate, having compromise, stuff like that. But yeah, also it's been like the program I'm in is really stretching, and we have a lot of like speeches we have to do and like digging deep like into our hearts. Like we had a heart idol presentation, it was called, and we had to kind of see like what are our struggles, but go one step deeper. Like what is the root of those struggles? And my heart idol ultimately was acceptance, and because I feel like that ties into a lot of things with my struggles in the past, just like wanting acceptance from other people, and ultimately I had to like switch my mindset, and I'm still working on this, to realize that like I don't need acceptance from other people,
that's good.
And like ultimately it comes from God. And that's hard. Like, it's easier said than done. Like, I can
100%.
say that, but it's still like a struggle, me trying to shift my mindset off of me and onto God.
Yeah, that's really good. No, I've struggled with that too. And I think too, just like being in a Christian community, there even is a lot of like struggle with like wanting to be accepted by like people that you think are so amazing and like want to like you, and it's like, but like you don't, like, you know, like not everyone's gonna like you in life, and not everyone's gonna be friends with you in life, and that's totally okay. Everyone has their own like friend group thing, but that is something too that I've been struggling with, is just finding like a solid like friend group and like a good Christian community. And because it's so big here, but I just feel like I have a lot of like friends, and I just like pray every day for just a solid like friend group. I love the solid friendships I've been making, like they've been amazing. But it's like I've always dreamed of that, you know. But it's also just like being like, okay, well, I only have to be accepted by the Lord. Like, I don't have to be accepted into someone's friend group. Or even in high school, I was like that. Like, I want to be in this person's friend group, you know?
Yeah.
But I think it's also about, like, growing up, too. And college is a lot. Like, that is a lot of, like, doing a lot of things independently and doing things for yourself and not, like, doing it because other people are doing it or because you have to. It's a lot of, like, that. So I think that also ties in with that. Which,
Yeah.
you're amazing. For sure. Like, you'll keep finding that.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's so true.
I know, and it is so easy to like say that than actually do it, and that is something I've also been working on. Is just like when I'm saying things to actually be doing it too, especially in my walk with the Lord. Like I talked about this too with like prayer. Like I want to like say I'm praying, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna pray about that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's so cool that you've said that.
I love what you said about that prayer thing.
Yeah.
Like when you tell someone you're gonna pray for them, like actually do it. That's good, because I feel like a lot of times it's easy to say like, oh, I'll pray for you,
yes.
and then just forget about it the next day.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. I guess, do you have any other struggles, or is that really the one thing that you've been working on?
Yeah, I mean, I have so many other struggles, but that's the biggest one. And just like, I know I already said this, but the control thing, like the need to control is controlling my life.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I've been reading this book called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry.
Oh.
By John Mark Comer.
I think you've told me about this.
Have I?
I need to read it. But
yes, you do. It's so good. But it talks a lot about that, and just like slowing yourself down and giving your struggles and your worries and everything to God. And just like how it's a verb to follow God. And like we can think of following as just like seeing what he's doing and like cheering him on from a distance.
Yeah.
But you actually have to get in it, and you actually have to do the work and put in the work to be a disciple of him and to be a Christ follower.
Wow, I love that. I really do. And I think that also plays into like being present in the moment, because if we're not like living every day present, like we aren't gonna like give it all to him and just like slow down, like you said. I need to listen to that book or read that book.
Yeah. No, it's so good.
Wow, that's awesome. Some exciting thing that I just like have been wanting Emma to talk about for so long on this podcast is Emma is one of the coolest people I know. If anyone knows who Mia May Huff is, Emma is one of her interns. Is that how Ambassador,
yeah.
Sorry. And I just want you to tell everything about how you even like felt like you should have applied to be her ambassador to your blog post on her amazing website, and just everything in between that, because it is so inspiring to see that. And she's someone that I look up to so much. And if anyone's listening, everyone go listen to her podcast. It is so good, and she's just so wise. She's also Sadie Robertson's sister-in-law, so that's really cool, like a cool little connection. And you're just amazing for that, so I'd love to hear all about that.
Yeah, so I had followed Sadie Robertson. I thought she was so cool for the longest time. And then I saw her post something with Maya May.
Yeah. Is it Maya or Mia?
I honestly, I think it's Maya. I think it's Maya. I had seen her post something with her, and I was like, oh, this girl looks nice. Like, I'll follow her. So I did, and I had seen that she started MMdesigns. MMdesigns.
Right,
yeah. Which is this, like, clothing company. I don't know how you would describe it.
I feel like it's a lot of, like, a ministry but clothing company but podcasts but like she's also a speaker.
It's a lot of things. So I had seen that, and then I saw that she put out this ambassador program, which I read about it. It was like, it said they were going to have a Bible study for 50 girls every week, and they would also give us like a code, like the normal ambassador things, like a code to get money off your clothing and stuff. and just like have a good solid group of girls. We have a group chat, and it's very encouraging because people send in their prayer requests, send in what's been encouraging to them. And so I was like, oh wow, like this looks super cool. Like I want to have that community. And so I applied, and I got accepted.
Wow.
And I had been reading their blog for a while. Laurel is the blog intern, and I'd been reading it, and I had this, I felt God lay on my heart the phrase of being fully known and fully loved by him, because like I talked about earlier, like the acceptance thing, I was trying to get accepted from other people. And the verse, let me pull it up, Psalm 139 1-6 says, "You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit down and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, Lord, you know it completely. You hem me in behind and before and lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain." And that had really been on my heart. Just the fact that God fully knows us, and he still chooses to love us and pursue us. And so I texted Laurel, and I was like, hey, I have this idea for a blog, and I kind of typed out a little sample, and I was like, I don't know if you want to write something about it or if you want me to write something about it. And she was super sweet. She texted back, and she was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so glad you reached out. I would love for you to write something for the blog. And honestly, I was super nervous because I'd never done anything like that before. Like, I'm not a writer. And so I was just praying, like, God, please, like, speak through me through this. And again, like, help me to realize this isn't from me. Like, please use me as a vessel for you. And so I wrote that whole thing about being fully known and fully loved. And she posted on the blog. And it was just super encouraging. I had a lot of people reach out after that and be like, this really helped me.
Wow. No, it 100% helped me. I, like, as soon as you posted, I was like, oh my gosh, I just sat down. I just read it all and looked at a couple of verses that resonated with me through that. And I was like, wow. Like, that was just, it was amazing. Everyone, like, listening to this, I'm going to link the blog post in, like, the little podcast, wherever you're listening to it. There's a link down below. Please check it out and read it, because you just speak so clearly and so truly, and it's all from the Lord, like everything that you say. And it's so good.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
Yeah, that's really encouraging to hear.
So, yeah, I was just so, like, inspired by you, but also I was just like, oh my gosh, that's my friend. Like, I was so proud of you. So I guess, like, after that, like, anything else happen? Like, people, like, reach out to you? Or?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I just had, like, people reach out, like I said, and, like, say it was encouraging. And I haven't been, like, I've never written really anything, but it's really fun. Like, even journaling, I just, like, it's good to get my thoughts, like, on paper. And then, like, because I feel like everything's jumbled up in my head all the time. And I need to, like, get it out and get it down. And so after that, I've been, like, journaling a lot more.
That is awesome.
And, like, writing kind of blog entries, but not posting them, just for me. And it really helps, like, get my thoughts, like, clear and concisely out on paper. And also, like, journaling prayers. I love that.
I love journaling prayers too.
So it's been a good outlet for me.
And so, like, I guess you were talking about, like, the Zoom Bible studies. What have you been, like, learning through those?
So I've only done a couple because I've been busy. They're on Monday nights. But they've been talking about Jonah.
Wow.
And I honestly haven't gone in a while. But they're just, like, digging deeper into Jonah, and Maya is super good at, like, coming up with specific questions to ask and, like, for us to ponder about the passage. And she's just, like, a really good Bible study leader.
That's awesome.
I think, in the way she asks questions and stuff.
My dream is to have her on this podcast or be on her podcast.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't know, I'm just praying for one day, because she's just so cool, and she just, like, literally is this light of, like, sunshine, like a ray of sunshine. But she's so inspiring. Like, every podcast that she's had, I just love listening.
She has such a joyful presence. And I think that's something about her that really stands out. Just, like, her joy of the Lord. Like, it's really in her. And I, like, even through her Instagram, you can see, like, I don't know, just the joyfulness that the Lord's given her.
Wow. That is awesome. So I guess you do that for how much longer? Is it just like a semester? Or
It's only, I think it's till the end of June.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. May or June.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess through like the whole fully seen and fully known thing, what is like one thing you wrote in it that you kind of want people like to hear right now?
Yeah.
If you can remember.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to remember.
It's okay.
There's a lot, but I think one thing I wrote was the fact that even if you don't feel like totally like you should be in this spot or like you should be doing this or you don't feel equipped, like God will equip you. Something my mentor was telling me the other week is God will not lead you into something and not take care of the things that concern you.
Wow.
And I think that was really, really encouraging to me, because I had been like living in fear almost of like, what am I going to do? Like, what does my future look like?
Yeah.
And like, is everything going to work out? Is it going to be okay?
Yeah.
And like, she told me that, like, and I was like, that's crazy, because like, God's got you. God's got your back. 100%. He's your shield.
Like you said, he's your shield. He's in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that just like, even if you don't feel equipped to be where you're at, like, you're supposed to be there.
Yeah, like if
God's
he's placed you there. Yeah,
exactly.
100%,
Exactly. God's placed you there, and he has a purpose for you, and he'll equip you. He will be your shield, and he'll be there for you.
Yeah, and it's so cool, like you said, like the analogy of since he's your shield, he's right in front of you. And like you said about your like stressing out about your future, like because he's in front of you, he already knows your future. And like I still struggle with that, but it's so cool to be like, he already knows all of this about me. Like, I need to stop and just let go and let God. And wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So yeah, I think that's one big thing.
Wow. I guess, do you think like you'd ever write another blog post for her, or have like, so, you should like start your own blog account?
I don't know. So I had been kind of wanting to start a blog before that, and just like see where it takes me, because like I don't have like, I'm not famous, I'm not any of that stuff.
But hey, I'm not either. And I started a podcast. So anyone can do anything.
I was listening to Maya's podcast with Laurel, the blog person for MMdesigns, and they were talking about how like you don't have to be like equipped, like, or you don't have to be like famous or have a big following to start something. Like, if you feel God placing something on your heart, like, do it. And so I had been thinking about starting a blog or something like that. But I don't know if it's the right time. But yeah, I've been praying about it a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And when it is, everyone go listen to it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then I guess, like you said, you were stressed kind of about your future. And does that have to do too with like your plans for next year and what that looks like?
Yeah. So for a while there, I didn't know what I was going to do next year, because I'm doing a gap year program right now. And so, like, is college my next step? Taking another year, is working my next step? And so I had just been stressing about that. And I think nothing really changed, but I just made a decision. I made a decision to do a business program next year. And then I was like, I don't know if it's the right decision, but any decision I make has to be the right decision, because it was ultimately God's plan.
Yeah.
And so I think just handing that over to God and trusting him really helped me a lot. I'm definitely still like nervous for my future. I don't know what I'm going to do after the business thing.
And that's okay.
Yeah. But it's just like an act of trusting God and fully surrendering your life to him and relinquishing that control. Surrender. Yeah.
Wow, that's so good. And I think even people who are in the middle of like their college, like last semester I didn't even know what my major was going to be, and then I finally declared, I'm like, okay, I feel better. I don't even know what that's going to be like next year, but just little things too, where it's like cool to hear other people just literally make a decision and be like, okay, well, this is going to be the plan, and if it isn't the plan, then obviously God has a whole different chapter for your life. And sometimes there's different seasons of your life. My mom always tells me that like a season could be a short time period, like a week, or even like a year, a season of your life. And I just love like hearing that, because the Lord like isn't gonna make your life boring. Like, there's always gonna be a different chapter, a different season in your life that's like he's ultimately like doing that for you to pursue him and to just kind of like you said, be a vessel for him in whatever season it is. It's kind of like that song Seasons by Hillsong. I don't know if you've ever heard that.
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. But it's just like really cool to hear just like how even a short season or a long season, like he always is in control and has a plan, and like no matter what you decide, like he's obviously going to protect you.
Yeah.
It goes back to him being your shield.
Yeah. For sure.
That's amazing. Well, do you have anything else, I guess, right?
I don't think so.
Wow.
I don't think so. Thank you so much for inviting me on this.
This has been awesome. I'm going to pray and close this out.
Okay.
And I'll pray and then you can close this out. Hey, Jesus, thank you so much for just letting Emma come on the podcast today, Lord, and just letting her get to talk about her story, her testimony, and just her journey and walk with you, Lord. And I'm so excited just for this podcast to be released, and I just hope everyone that listens to it, Lord, just gets inspired by Emma's story and knows that you're in control of their life, and that no matter what they're stressed about, that you're ahead of them, Lord, and that you're their shield for their life, and that you have a plan for everything that they're going through, Lord. And I just pray for Emma's heart and just her struggles that she was talking about, Lord, and I just pray that she helps, that you help her grow stronger in her faith and in those struggles, and that next year, whatever you have in store for her, Lord, will just be a plan out of your love and out of what you have in store for her. And she will just take whatever comes her way and use that for your glory, Lord. And we love you, Jesus.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys, for coming on the podcast. And I'm so excited for all the other podcast to be released, and thank you so much, Emma, for coming on again.
Yeah, thank you, Olivia. I love this podcast so much.
That was so much fun. All right, see you guys next time.